Hey guys, this is Trent. I have decided to do something a little bit different and shoot outside since it's such a nice day. And you can see that I am wearing a Tehkseven t-shirt in honor of my friend Jon at the Tehkseven channel. Whenever you want to catch the latest and greatest in mobile news along with some comic antics, feel free to check out his channel as soon as possible. Now I am here to talk to you guys today about the review for the Google Nexus One. And this phone has been a pretty special device for me so far, and as you can see I am still using it as my main device, and I have it with me right here. I have to admit that I have been thoroughly impressed with what the operating system of Android could offer me. There was one huge difference, and that is the cloud servicing offered through Google integration on your Android device. Having this Google integration on the Nexus One for seamless syncing of all of my personal data, it simply meant that for the first time in years, I did not have to worry about buying a version of Missing Sync to be able to input all of my information onto the device, it was great to discover that. But at the same time, it was a very hard lesson learned because I had automatically assumed that I did need the software, and I ended up spending or wasting $40 on a software program that I didn't need. I do happen to like the stock Android interface because it's very simple, it's very easy to use, very smooth, very fast in its navigation through the menus. It's intuitive. It doesn't really rely on too many graphics to give you eye candy from left and right or whatever, and it's all about usability. I don't feel like it's clunky at all. And yes, I know that I may open myself up to some hate right now, but it reminds me of the iPhone. With the fact that you've got a very responsive touchscreen, it really adds to a smooth user experience. When it comes to hardware, the Google Nexus One is pretty impressive in what it has to offer. You've got a very slim profile along with a size that is just right to fit in the palm of your hand. It is not exactly all plastic. You do have some metallic accents that are composed in the build of this phone. Now, to testify to the durability of the Nexus One, as many of you know, I did go through a situation where I dropped it onto a concrete sidewalk. I eventually fixed it and put it back together, but the fact that it still kept working with a gap at the top of the phone, it really says a lot about the Nexus One and its durability overall. There is a 3.7-inch capacitive touchscreen that quite frankly looks very good, being that it's an AMOLED display. The one major downfall of the AMOLED display is that in direct sunlight it is rendered useless. You can't see a thing in order to navigate the menus or the features on the Nexus One. The trackball that is included is really a most convenient feature because not only does it operate as a cursor mover in the midst of typing out text messages or emails, but it also operates as a notification light. A 3.5mm headset jack is always handy to be able to use your own headphones. Other hardware features on the Nexus One are a 5-megapixel camera with an LED flash and a 1 GHz Snapdragon processor, along with dual microphones that actually perform active noise cancellation in the midst of voice calls, which happens to work pretty well. In regards to software performance on the Nexus One, I have to say that the one feature that really blew me away happened to be the navigation feature on Google Maps.
In 800 feet, take the ramp to I-264 West. Continue on I-264 West for a half mile.
To have a device not only give you tracking information through GPS, but to also have it speak to you and give you turn-by-turn directions, it was unheard of. And to be able to have that for the first time on a device that gave a smooth interface experience was more than what I could ask for, to be quite honest. Depending on what time of day or night it was, it would automatically turn on the navigation in either the day mode or the night mode. Any incoming text message is automatically assigned under a specific contact, and under that contact, all of the messages are threaded. using the QWERTY keypad was a lot better in landscape mode than it was in portrait mode. But what did help me out in using the virtual keypad was that there was the auto correction mode, and then you also have word suggestions that pop up in a separate row at the top of the virtual keypad. Whenever you have a brand new word that you've created that is not included in the built-in dictionary, what you can do is take your finger, hold down on that word as it appears in the upper row above the QWERTY, and automatically it will say that it is saved to the personal dictionary on your device. Using speech to text came in quite handy, especially when I was on the road and the Nexus One was docked in the car dock. So in order to take it out of my hands and use it as a speakerphone, using that feature to create SMS messages as well as emails was really a very neat experience. What is the difference between GSM and CDMA? "8:30 sounds like a perfect time to come over. I will see you then, period." Smartphone technology by Nokia. I would have to give the speech-to-text feature an accuracy rating of 80%. There were some glitches every now and then where there was no connectivity with that feature, but a simple turning off of the display and then turning it back on again tended to solve that problem. Now, the web browser on Android is not really much to shout home about. I mean, it's very fast with the Snapdragon processor, and having multi-touch really makes it easy to navigate. At the same time, there is no support for Flash videos at this point with the 2.1 OS. Now, the multimedia gallery on the Nexus One is very basic, but at the same time, it is functional at the end of the day. When you first open the library, everything appears before you in thumbnail images. A neat touch to this gallery is that when you tilt the phone a certain way, the accelerometer allows for the images to sway back and forth and to tilt. The video player of the Android operating system is extremely basic, and it does not give you any way to change the aspect ratio of a video, whether it's in widescreen or the regular 4:3 format. It basically is going to stay the way it is, and there's no way to zoom into the picture or to zoom out of it. As for the music player of the Android operating system, it tends to be very snappy due to the Snapdragon processor. The interface is very clean, very simple, very intuitive, and you also don't run into many freezing episodes dealing with a large music library. I myself have over 1,200 songs on a 16 gigabyte micro SD card, and unlike the HD2, the Nexus One performed flawlessly in regards to scrolling through every track listing. The Android music player also gives you no way to change the settings of your EQ while listening to music. Alright, when it comes to using the camera on the Nexus One, you've got 5 megapixels with an LED flash. Still images come out great looking, whether you're looking at them through the device or your computer. On the other hand, shooting video leaves a little bit to be desired on the Nexus One. The frame rate, I believe, is at 20 frames per second, and the resolution is at D1. Even though there is an LED flash on the Nexus One, it cannot be used as a video light in the midst of recording video, which is quite unfortunate. You have the ability to upload any recorded videos directly to YouTube from the device itself. Battery life on the Nexus One is pretty reasonable. Depending on how heavy of a power user you are, you can expect to get one full day of usage out of it. Personally, battery life on the Nexus One is never an issue for me, since I am always located near a charging dock, whether it's on my desk or in my car. Overall signal reception on the Nexus One, it has its good and its bad moments. When I am inside my house, for some reason I am disconnected from 3G on the T-Mobile network. I only have access to Edge. But whenever I am outside of my home, I have full access to 3G. Now, call quality on the Nexus One tends to sound fairly sufficient with an ample amount of volume and clarity. One particular pet peeve that I have for this phone is the lack of responsiveness from time to time whenever I press down on the power button to take it out of standby mode. There have been times when I've had to press the power button 3 times to wake up the device, and there's just no need for that. Even if you go into the phone and set the audio settings ahead of time and set it so that it's supposed to remember it, there are times when the Nexus One simply forgets the settings altogether and you have to go back in and reset everything. Every now and then, the Nexus One does tend to lose its responsiveness on the touchscreen after I wake it up from standby or pull it off of a dock. But usually a quick way to solve this problem is to just, press the power button once and then press it again to wake it up. Okay, I admit that I am not in front of the camera right now, hooping and hollering and making funny faces and being all excited about the Nexus One, but I can assure you guys that I am still quite excited to be a user of the Android operating system as well as an owner of the Nexus One for a number of different reasons. When you consider the interface of the stock Android OS and you consider its performance with the Snapdragon processor, in addition to the touchscreen feedback, it's a very impressive offering. It feels extremely pocketable with its slim profile and its compact sizing, and the build quality is just amazing. It's extremely solid. On top of that, you've got the Google service integration, and then you've got the direct operating system updates from Google. I mean, there is nothing more you could ask for. Another great aspect of the Android OS that I love is simplicity and user-friendliness. You're not going to find anything better than the Nexus One in regards to those qualities unless you happen to be looking at the iPhone. Now, truthfully speaking, yes, I do wish that there was a version of the Nexus with a hardware QWERTY keypad, but who knows, that may come later on down the line, it may not. But to be quite honest, if I have to deal with a set of compromises to be able to hold on to the Nexus One, then that's just what I'll have to do. It is just a simple matter of the pros outweighing the cons with this touchscreen device. And yes, you indeed have a lot of debates out there between techies who consider Android to not be as upscale as Mamo or Windows Mobile, but in the same respect, sometimes you just want to have a phone that just works and it's just intuitive and it's easy to use. To me, that is where the Android OS happens to excel with the competition. In addition to the fact that it also offers the most convenient Google integration ever for your contacts, your calendars, and your Gmail to be automatically synced just by entering in your password and your username from your Google account. I have to say that the convenience of having all of my Google contacts and Google Calendar entries and Gmail ported over to a phone the minute I sign into it, it's really ingenious, and it's a really valuable feature that I really can't see myself letting go of anytime soon. The Nexus One is indeed my permanent phone from now until the end of time. That is until another Android device is released with the same kind of specs, if not better, along with a hardware QWERTY keypad. But we can only keep our fingers crossed to see such a device be released in due time. With all that being said, I am Trent for Trent Sense. All of you guys take care and stay safe.